person, then there will be a change.
I'm going to record this. Sorry.
But
if I vote for this person, what?
Then things might change or whatever. There might make a small difference.
Even the liberals, this one guy, his name is Yamini Amadas Brahmachari. He does a comedy bit. He's actually one of the guitarists for Shelter, that group in the 90s, like a straight edge band, hard rock. And he along with some other guys, that two of them are in New Vrindavan now. But one of them is, anyway, he is saying, sometimes the devotees think, I want to make the world a better place. He always spoke with this like pseudo-European accent. I had to use subtitles because it was even hard to understand what he was talking about when he gave his performance, in the character. Yama Das Brahmachari. He had a pseudo-European accent. He says, sometimes devotees think, I'll make the world a better place. I'll vote for Bernie. But no. No, it's not going to make the world a better place. He said, Krishna has declared this, is certified this material world, Dukkhalayam Shashvatam, temporary and miserable. So, it's like you to make all these temporary material arrangements, picking this leader or whatever, that leader, they're not all the same. Don't get me wrong. It really does matter who's president. But the thing is, it's like holding one of those like
more importantly, it matters.
Pine tree deodorant on your car, your rear windshield, mirror on your windshield, hanging that up, in hell. Because it's not, the hell is like full of like sulfurous fumes. It's not going to make a little tiny pine tree deodorant is not going to like deodorize hell,
Right.
So the only thing you can do to make hell a better place is to have the guru rain down his rain of mercy, samsara davanali loka, the rain, it'll put out the fires of hell, and then we can have peace. Otherwise, it's, all these just temporary arrangements just like not going to do anything. Prabhupada said, they're trying to like make peace in the United Nations, but since it was in the inception of the United Nations after World War II, there's so many more flags out, and they're just fighting like cats and dogs. So what is the use of that kind of, they don't learn though. And it's like, it's really crazy right now because they're trying to say that the government and the justice system in this country, we should actually ignore it. And this whole thing with, like we should just abolish the justice system because it's corrupt. It's manipulated by the deep state or whatever that is, But they had the actual Speaker of the House there yesterday, and about 6 other Republicans that were just dressed exactly like Trump with the red ties, and they're all saying, "Oh yeah, Trump's my friend." But he probably didn't even know them on their first names,
Yeah, who are these guys?
Yeah, they're just like dressed. He's my friend. They're our friends. We're just trying to like, protect him from this like this
corruptness,
Democrat, thing that they're like, and this is just a fake trial. He's innocent of all charges. And, this whole system of judicial system is corrupt and we should dismantle it. That's the first thing that they do, in an authoritarian system. They dismantle the press and the judicial system and all that. And so they can take over all the institutions. So that's why we have to defend the institutions. That's a lot of devotees are like in their little bubble, they don't care what's going on. They just figure out Krishna's in control. They'll work it out. That's not the way it goes. You have to,
I agree.
You actually have to fight, sometimes.
That's what the Bhagavatam points at too, and people don't want to take lessons on protection and dharma, because that's what it comes down to, dharmic principles. When that, with all through the Bhagavatam, it talks about how important it is to have a conscious leader, and just as important for them to have a conscious council. Otherwise, everything, the system and the police officers, the military, the politicians, they're all going to reflect the unconscious state. But if you have the conscious leader with a conscious council to help them maintain consistency, then you're going to have a reflection of that consciousness. And that's why we have.
And the problem is, you know, it's a lot easier. I think you liked that one post that I did of Mark Twain. Mark Twain was awesome, wasn't he? He had a lot of good quotes.
Yeah.
He's saying, you know, it's a lot easier to convince them that it's a lot easier to fool people.
To fool them instead of convince them.
Than it is to actually convince them that they're wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So once all these people, like 50 million people, are convinced that they're fooled by these so-called leaders that are just blind people leading them into a ditch, then it's very difficult to get them out of the ditch.
What's funny is they get defensive when you tell them that they've been fooled and they're wrong.
Yeah, I mean, but that I was pointing that out and above the post there, I said that people, it's based on bodily identification. They identify their bodies with certain party, with a certain ideology, and so therefore they can't actually, and anything that's opposed to that, they take personal offense toward. Even they don't have any kind of objective viewpoint. They just think, this is me, these are my people, this is my tribe. Everybody that says anything wrong with that, then they're demons. They're like, they need to be exterminated even, you know, and that's the way it starts, you know, and it's all based on the bodily concept of life, and they can't see anything beyond the person. That's why we have a personality cult in this America, you know, like, you ever heard that song from the 90s called Cult of Personality by Living Colour rock group? You're too young.
I may have heard it. I'm not sure.
It's really an awesome song. It's, you know, but anyway, you can look it up. Cult of Personality, Living Colour. One of my favorite guitarists was in Rio with them and leading a guitar on when they sang that song. They're from the 90s. They're black, but that song was one of the best songs, I think. You know, it talks about cult of personality, you know, like how you know, I'm everything you want to be. I'm the cult of personality.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that.
Yeah. That's a great song. Anyway, I think we should get on to the, you know, this is a current events section of this Bhagavatam class, I guess. I mean, you got to kind of like pay attention to what's going on. Otherwise, you know,
right,
all this stuff is just, you're a little, you know, hiding your head in the sand. Meanwhile, you know, like great kings like Vena, or great kings like you know, demoniac kings like Vena. Vena was like a ruler back in the day, and he was a demon, and he wanted to kill all the brahmanas and destroy the sacrifices, because he didn't believe in the Vedas, you know. And so all the brahmins got really upset, and they tried to talk to him, but he didn't listen, and so they got really mad, and they just killed him. You know, they had like a what do you call it? Hare Krishna, Zanu.
Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. But anyway, you know, they just said some mantra and it killed Venu. And so they churned his body somehow, and they produced King Prithu. Maharaj Prithu was an incarnation of Vishnu. So we don't have any qualified brahmanas like that. So we got to, like, you know, depend on democracy.
At least even the demons then were conscious enough to worship demigods. Nowadays they're just worshiping demons.
Yeah, well, you know, it's like there are so many people worshiping different people, you know, but they're not really Krishna conscious. You know,
No.
if you get the majority of people in the country, you know, Prabhupada said, you know, the majority of people, because they've been misled and they don't have any, they're in the bodily concept of life, and they've been fooled by all these politicians into thinking a certain way. Therefore, you know, like more than 50% of the people are just fools. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat, they're just fools. They don't know what they're doing because they have no basic morality, you know. So
Yeah, and then it's like you vote for this guy or that guy, but it's like who picked them? What makes them so qualified?
yeah, well, see, Prabhupada said that democracy can work depending on if the population of the world are picking a right leader. If they're Krishna conscious, they'll pick a Krishna conscious leader. But if you pick just, you know, like Prabhupada described it as like 10th class men, no, 4th class men picking a 10th class men, you know, all they do is, you know, these 4th class men, they're picking whoever's the most boisterous and the loudest and can, you know, rally their base, you know, through hate and fear and division and all this stuff, you know. It's just a mess, you know.
It is a mess.
So, you know, it just depends on if we can, you know, Krishna consciousness has to be, Prabhupada said if even 1% of the population becomes Krishna conscious, it could change the whole face of the world.
Yeah.
So that's what devotees have to do. They have to keep on preaching. Otherwise, this whole, you know, Prabhupada's movement is just going to disappear, you know, because if there's not life in the movement and if there's no preaching, it's just going to go away. And then we'll have no hope, you know. It's supposed to exist for the next 10,000 years, but you can't take that for granted.
And very few people know what you're talking about to a T, to where they actually understand it, because all through these scriptures, it gives you the idea of what a government's supposed to be like. It completely defines government with personality examples and whatnot, and it explains that if the king or the leader is not doing what they're supposed to do, if they're not looking after the people, government and simplicity is for the people. So if they're not holding up to that and leading the society in consciousness, they should be removed by the council, which should be conscious sages, which they aren't.
Right. Yeah.
And if
that's the
council
the Kshatriyas and the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas should supposed to be in charge of the Kshatriyas and tell them what to do.
Yeah, and if
just
they're
like, you know, even that whole concept of by the people for the people. I was reading one thing in the 11th canto. Prabhupada didn't write it, but he was saying, you know, the whole concept is ridiculous. Even the whole concept of democracy. I mean, usually there used to be saintly kings, you know, that were ruling the earth, and then the Brahmanas were guiding the kings, and then the kings took care of their citizens just like a child or a parent would take care of their children. There's so much concern. Everything, even one little thing happened, like somebody's kid died or something, the weather was bad, they would blame the king. And actually it was his responsibility in the Vedic times to
please the demigods so that everything goes smooth.
Yeah, well, if you had a perfect system, if you had a saintly king, then all the demigods would be pleased. There'd be rain, there'd be sacrifices going on. Sacrifices produce rain, and rain produce grains, and then the citizens can live in a prosperous way. But if the king is corrupt, then, you know, the king is really supposed to be really responsible. You know, he is supposed to take the benefit of the pious credit or the impious credit of 1/6 of the whole population. So can you imagine like 1/6 of the entire sinful activities of the entire United States of America? That'd be a lot of burden, you know. So, you know, it's still true, you know. So that's why I would never be a politician, I don't think. You know, first of all, I'm not a Christian, they would never elect me, you know, so I don't have to worry about it. You know?
Put you on a cross.
Yeah. my wife would, you know, she hates guns, you know, and America's like a gun-loving Second Amendment country, you know. So she would say, you know, the first thing she would do is take everybody's guns away. she would last about 2 seconds before she was shot herself, I always thought, like, I hate guns too, but I was thinking that maybe if you wanted to own a gun, there should be a simple one question questionnaire in order to purchase a gun. Guns are like a fetish. They consider like
True.
guns to be like what do you call it? Killing is considered by some psychologists. It's said that it's better than sex. The killing, the process of killing, human beings like that even more than sex. So therefore it's kind of a fetish, basically, having a gun. And I said, so I made up a one question questionnaire in order to have a gun in America. Here's a question: do you want a gun? And if the answer is yes, then no, you can't have one.
Yeah.
That should be the questionnaire. Otherwise, what's the use of it? I mean, you don't need, like, especially all these big magazine guns, and everything, like, what's the use of that? Even if you're a hunter, why do you need, like, 16 people with blow away a rabbit with a AR-15 or something like that? There wouldn't be anything left. Anyway, it's just nonsense.
All of that's caveman tech compared to the stuff that's in here, though, too. They're shooting like limitless laser arrows through mantra sounds and all that.
Yeah. I mean, the mantras that they used to use in Vedic times, they make like Star Wars and stuff look like romper
Play
room.
force.
Yeah, like play school or something, because they had Brahmastra weapons. Brahmastra was like a nuclear weapon, and if you didn't know how to counteract it, would blow up the whole damn planet. And so that's why, you had to really know what you're doing, but they don't have that. That's a material art, all this material manipulation of through mantras. And, it's actually a chain reaction. But if you can't control it through other mantras, if you know how to withdraw it, then it can actually create havoc, so. It's just like, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing if you don't know how to use it, But let's go. We got 10 minutes left, a little bit more than 10 minutes left here. So I'm going to go.
Wow.
I'm going to
Good
go.
conversation, though.
Yeah, well, I think it's good to, like, cover current events every once in a while.
I agree.
We have forever until I die to get to cover this whole Bhagavatam. It probably won't happen in this lifetime because we're only on the 7th chapter of the first canto. What Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada's guru, he covered the first verse of the first canto of the Bhagavatam. You know how long it took him just to get through the first verse?
How long?
1 month.
Jeez.
He lectured on it every day because there's so much in these books.
True.
So that's what happened. And I'm going to start here. We'll just take turns reading like we did before.
Okay.
I'll read the translation. You can read every other. Well, why don't you read the translation? Then we'll just take turns with each sentence after that. This is the 10th verse of the 7th chapter of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled "Son of Droṇa Punished." Go ahead and read the translation of verse 10.
All different varieties of atmaramas, those who take pleasure in atma, or spirit self, especially those established on the path of self-realization, though freed from all kinds of material bondage, desire to render unalloyed devotional service under the personality of Godhead. This means that the Lord possesses transcendental qualities and therefore can attract everyone, including liberated souls.
Yeah, you know what the word Krishna means?
All attractive.
Exactly. Can attract everybody. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this atmarama shloka. This is the atmarama shloka. Oh my God. This is a really important shloka verse. Very vividly, before his chief devotee, Srila Sanatana Goswami, he pointed out 11 factors in the shloka, namely, and these are all the words: that the Sanskrit words atmarama, munaya, nigrantapi cha, urkrama karvanti hoitakim bhaktim itambudagana hari. According to Vishva Prakash Sanskrit Dictionary, there are 7 synonyms for the word Atma, which are as follows: 1, Brahman, the absolute truth; 2, body; 3, mind; 4, endeavor; 5, endurance; 6, intelligence; and 7, personal habits. Go ahead.
The word munaya refers to 1, those who are thoughtful; 2, those who are grave or silent; 3, ascetics; 4, the persistent; 5, mendicants; 6, sages; and 7, saints.
Yeah, this just is one verse is like one of the key, the Atmaram verse. There's so much just packed in. I mean, you could spend days just on this particular verse because there's a single word is packed with meaning and various meanings, you know.
Right.
And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he would explain something, and then, you know, he would completely defeat the person that he was talking to, and then he'd just completely explain it the other way around and defeat himself, and nobody could even touch what he was arguing about. You know, it's like because he's God, you know, he can do that. You know, we can't. We didn't. It's difficult for us to even scratch the surface. You know, it's like an ocean of knowledge, an ocean of bliss. We can just taste a little bit of a drop. The word nirgranta conveys these ideas: 1, one who's liberated from nescience. Nescience means ignorance. 2, one who has no connection with scriptural injunction, i.e., who is freed from the obligation of the rules and regulations mentioned in the revealed scriptures, like ethics, Vedas, philosophy, psychology, and metaphysics. In other words, the fools, illiterate urchins, etc. Urchins, that's a good one. What's an urchin? Etc., who have no connection with regulative principles. 3, a capitalist, and also 4, one who is penniless. So that's what nirgranta means. Go ahead.
According to the Shabda Kosha dictionary, the affix ni is used in the sense of 1, certainty; 2, counting; 3, building; and 4, forbidden. And the word granta is used in the sense of wealth, thesis, vocabulary, etc.
I'm looking up urchin. Urchin means a mischievous boy, a small boy or youngster.
I did not know that either.
Oh, 6 is obsolete, an elf or mischievous sprite. I don't know. I don't know what I don't know what Prabhupada means by that. Okay.
Pretty awesome vocab.
Yeah. Well, he had, I mean, he translated this from Sanskrit, and some of these Sanskrit words, they have no English equivalent, you know, so it's hard to actually, you know, like bhakti, it has no English equivalent. Some say it's devotion, some say it's like, you know, surrender or love or whatever, but actually it has a specific meaning in Sanskrit, and there's no English equivalent for that. Which one are we on here? You said
the word udukram.
The word udukram means, quote, the one whose activities are glorious, end quote. Krama means step. This word udukrama specifically indicates the Lord's incarnation as Vamana, who covered the whole universe by immeasurable steps. You know that pastime of Vamana? He took like, you know, they said, all I want to see is like a little Brahmana boy. He said, all I want, you know, from this Bali, who was the son of Prahlad Maharaj, he said, I just want 3 steps. You know, like that Leonard Skinner song, give me 3 steps. And he was like a little boy. So he said, well, you got to ask for more than that. I'm very rich. I own the entire universe. You know, you got to give me. But then his guru said, no, don't promise him anything, because he's Vishnu and he'll cheat you. and Vali said, I don't care who he is. I'm a king, and I'm supposed to give whatever. And if he is Vishnu, I don't care even if he asks for my head, I'm going to give it to him. And so he disobeyed his own guru, which is awesome, because if the guru says something that's opposed to Krishna, you're supposed to disobey him. You have to reject that guru, because he's not bona fide. He's just like a seminal guru, a family guru or something, they're just in it for the money.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Lord Vishnu is powerful, and his activities are so glorious that he's created the spiritual world by his internal potency and the material world by his external potency. By his all-pervading features, he is present, everywhere present as the supreme truth, and his personal feature, he's always present in the transcendental abode of Goloka Vrindavan, where he displays his transcendental pastimes in all variegatedness. His activities cannot be compared to anyone else's, and therefore the word Urukram is just applicable only to him. That's what I explain to everybody when I'm driving for Uber. I say I help manage a yoga studio in Lawrenceville, and this is a different kind of yoga. The yoga we are doing is like, you have the sitting postures and breathing exercise. Nobody can do that anymore. So the way we do it is this mantra meditation, and that directly connects with the super soul and the heart. And the super soul, he is kindly accompanies every living entity as just like a friend. He guides people if they want to be guided, but we're the Atma and he's the Paramatma, and we're just too busy eating the fruit of the tree. It's like two birds sitting in a tree, but they're not K-A-S-S-I-N-G. They're just two friendly birds. But the smarter, stronger bird, he's like just the witness, but he's all pervading. But he's, like it says in this paragraph here, I tell them, he's in everyone's heart. He's about thumb high, whereas the Atma is only like 1/10,000th the size of the tip of a hair. But the Paramatma is like thumb high. It's also located in the heart area. But he's got his own crib in the spiritual world, a really nice local Vrindavan, where he's like there with all his lovers and friends and associates and all his transcendental pastimes. And so you really can't compare, like anybody else's activities to his activities, because he's Krishna and you're not.
Right.
My friend used to say, I can't even take care of myself, what to speak of a wife, and Krishna took care of like 16,000 wives and had a huge, beautiful palace for every single one of them, and was doing different things in each palace at different times of the day, even though it was the same time. He made it different. And, who can do that? Nobody can do that. So you can't really compare yourself. Nobody can compare to Krishna. He's greater than the greatest. And even the demigods, if you think that a demigod is like equal to Krishna, then you're considered an atheist.
Yeah.
So go ahead and read the next sentence here.
That's trippy stuff, man.
Sure.
According to Sanskrit verbal arrangement, Kurvanti means to do things for someone else. Therefore, it means that the atmaramas render devotional service unto the Lord, not for personal interest, but for the pleasure of the Lord, Urukram.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Atmarama means self-satisfied, but in order to be self-satisfied, you actually have to be connected with Krishna, and you can't be working for your own sense gratification. You can't be working for your own self, because that's not really that's not a sustainable thing, because you get tired of chewing the chewed all the time.
You get entangled in suffering.
Yeah, you get like pleasure and pain, and it's like hankering and lamentation. You always want things, but you can't get them, so you're hankering. And then once you get them, then it's not really what it's chalked up to be, and so you lament. And you're always hankering, lamenting. It's like a football game, you're going down the field, the ball's being kicked back and forth, and we're just like on the field, but we don't know that we should just, surrender to Krishna, and then we can actually be happy. Otherwise we'll never be happy. So that's atmarama is self-satisfied. It says in the Bhagavad Gita that whoever is on this platform, it's like a happiness that can't be achieved by any other means. You're satisfied in the self. How many people are like that? Nobody can.
Not very many.
There's two kinds of people that are satisfied in themselves. We got like 2 minutes here, but you're either a drunk, like you ask a drunk who's laying in a gutter, right? How you doing, man? He says, I'm fine. And then a pure devotee, he's totally self-satisfied. He's doing fine too. But everybody else in between is suffering.
Yeah.
So that's the state of affairs. For everybody else in between. Everybody to a greater or lesser degree in this material world anyway is suffering. And they may think, oh, it's actually pretty nice. No, it's not. It's actually you're suffering. You don't want to get old and